So in this video, I want to go briefly over kind of how the day-to-day updates will work with the app itself, meaning how will this actually integrate into your day-to-day of your office or whoever's actually using the app. Um, and really it's pretty simple. Once you go through the initial setup and you've kind of updated your crew list and now all these dummy names have changed to real people, once you've actually gone into here and you've approved who you want to see the COVID response, once you've done that initial setup, all you really are going to have to update on the day-to-day is nothing more than you probably would in any office. For example, you'll have to keep your crew list up to date because in order for people to show up on the crew list, in order for people to show up on the daily timesheets um, or the COVID symptom check, they will have to be in this crew list. So you may choose to use this as your primary crew list. You may choose to just update it alongside another formatted crew list that you actually use for distro. The other thing you'll have to do is obviously every time that you actually get a new schedule and script, or maybe you get a new one-liner, you'll have to come into the master sheet and you'll just simply, let's say you're using Google Drive, you'll upload that into your Google Drive and you'll get that link and you'll go back to your master sheet. You'll go to your control center and you'll just update these file links. So you can pass this off to a PA or production secretary or whoever you want, but whenever you distro new schedules and scripts, you'll have to come in and update that here. Somewhere with call sheets and sides. When you send out the call sheet at the end of a shooting day over email, you'll also need to upload it to your Drive or your Dropbox, and you'll have to paste those links here in order for them to show up here for your shoot day. And similar, this is going to kind of be something, how it looks in my day is we distro the call sheet and the information to crew for the next shooting day, and then I, in my night, kind of coming in and I update these links, and then I come down here and I'll change that to maybe it's day 3 now, change the date, all that'll update automatically. Obviously you want to make sure these addresses show up. If you don't want those to show up at all, obviously you could delete these and these two things will actually go away completely. But you don't want these to be wrong because clearly some crew members would click it thinking it's the right address and possibly go to an old location or somewhere incorrect. Also, something I like to do is when I put in the addresses here, I like to search those manually and compare the address to what's showing up in the app, because the worst thing you want to do is possibly get the address wrong and send someone to the wrong place. And that is really kind of the day-to-day. Obviously, as data comes in, you want to kind of maintain that and make sure it looks good. Ideally, you've set up separate sheets for all these responses. That way, for example, the catering person doesn't have access to this master sheet, but they're seeing the responses come in on a separate sheet that you set up in the way that I showed in the previous video. Same thing with the timesheets. Ideally, you've set up a separate Google Sheet in general for the second to come in and look at this. That way this data stays clean and you know that you're the only one who actually has access to it. So really, most of your time updating the app once you have the initial setup is just going to be spent on these file links and this shooting day. The department list should be set up when you initially do it. If, for example, these change, you want to come in and change them. This will be a once a week thing if your caterer chooses to use it. These, obviously you'll be turning these on and off as you see fit, but in general it's pretty low maintenance. Like I said, your accounting team should give you all this up front, and then that'll be set for run a show. And the crew list is really going to be something that you can just pass off to whoever is actually maintaining the crew list in general. Obviously the key here is just make sure that they continue to copy these columns here, because it's working. This is one of the final things that you're going to have to do, along with, after you distro the new call sheet, what I like to do is just have the office PA and production secretary come in and compare the call sheet, who's actually working with who's checked here, so they can come in and just check off or recheck people who are now back so that they actually properly show up for the COVID compliance officer in this code response tab. Because obviously the difference, and I'll go over this one more time, between who shows up here and who is going to show up on the crew list is this check mark here. And that just allows the COVID compliance officer to not have to waste time, for example, chasing people who have not responded, who are actually not working, because that wouldn't be very helpful to anybody. And that's it. That's kind of the day-to-day maintenance of the Production Hub app. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, I hope it works for you, and I hope you're happy with your purchase.